So I was looking up where Paul talks about how sex is not just for procreation, it's actually for mutual comfort of husband and wife. And I come across Romans chapter 9, and you can go on to 10 and 11. About Israel. The important parts are, starting at 9, he says, I am grieved, and full of great sorrow and ceasing grief in my heart, for I wish I could that myself were accursed, separated from Christ for the sake of my brother and my kinsmen according to the flesh. Let's go down, right? To verse 8 of chapter 9. That is, it is not the children of the flesh that are the children of God, but the children of the promise are regarded as descendants. Because he says, not all of Israel is Israel. What was the promise? Christ. We are the adopted sons of God, right? Sons in the Son, filiate and filiae. Go over to 24. Even us whom among he also called, not among Jews only, but also among Gentiles. Israel was never a piece of land. There was a kingdom called Israel in the north after Solomon had died, and you had Israel and Judah. This is after you had the kingdom consolidated under David, and then Solomon died, and Israel was in the north. Before, there were tribal territories, 12 of them, because Levi didn't get land. And Ephraim and Manasseh, Joseph was Ephraim and Manasseh. The 13 tribes, right? The land was Canaan. Now it's called Palestine. Israel was in bondage in Egypt. Israel was in bondage in Babylon. Israel is the people. It's not land. Who is Israel? Is it a lineage? No, it's those who obey the existing one. He was Yahon, Yah Esher, Yah. I am that I am. And live according to his promise and walk after him. The church is Israel. Church, or Iglesia, or Chiesa, or Ecclesia, it's assembly. It's the same word that was used at the base of Mount Sinai, the assembly. That's when they became the chosen people, right? In the Bible, church is just the assembly. And the assembly is the bride of Christ. It's Christ on earth. It's the body of Christ. All these deified words are used for the church. Does Israel still exist to this day? Yes. It is the Eastern Orthodox Church. Can there be people who are Israelites outside of the Eastern Orthodox Church? Yes, we expect there to be. Will I ever call an unbaptized person an Israelite? Never. Never, ever, ever. That nation, the nation that calls itself Israel, is in no way Israel. They're not even, most of them aren't even descended from the people who were who fought the Romans in AD 70. Those who practice Judaism, let me make this clear, rabbinical Judaism, are they Israelites? They are not. They might be Dagonites, Molochites, Amalekites, Edomites. Israelite, you can be adopted into Israel like Ruth was. You know, Naomi, she followed Naomi. Does that mean that I hate those who identify themselves as a Jew, as a rabbinical Jew? No. I'm just stating this as fact. It's just fact. If I believe this, if I believe any word of Paul, the church is Israel. Not the new Israel. We are under the new covenant, but we're Israel. And the vast majority of the early church was, in the common tongue, Jewish. They basically took a whole school of Pharisaism with them. Ask a history teacher. There were, almost half of the Jews became Christians. It became such a threat to Judaism that Judaism started limiting the books of the Bible. They started even taking things out. They were debating about Esther. They gave up on Maccabees altogether. Hanukkah is a new holiday, and then they had to reinvent the story with the oil because they didn't know what Hanukkah was. Hanukkah was the reestablishment of the sacrifices. That instead of the statue of Zeus with pigs being sacrificed to it, you now had the worship of the one true God with the ram or the cow's blood being sprinkled. It had nothing to do with the burning of an oil and a miracle of oil. No. They had forgotten it. The ones that had kept, and the oldest account is First Maccabees. The second oldest is Second Maccabees. The stuff from the Talmud did not get written down until the early Islamic period. Heaven forbid they should turn to Christian works, so they made up this story of oil, of these 8 days. The celebration of the 8 days was something different. I can do a video on that. But the celebration of 8 days at that point had nothing to do with the Maccabean revolt. Christians should celebrate actual Hanukkah, the Maccabean sanctification of the temple. That is Hanukkah. People dying for their faith in the one true God. But instead, the miracle was lasting oil. No, the miracle was women standing up and saying, I will not worship another God, and being struck down. Or having their children circumcised, even though it meant that they would be put to death. Those women would be put to death. That is the miracle. Or that is part of the miracle. Oil lasting for 8 days? Absolutely not. Well, it didn't happen. The account comes almost a millennium later. But the actual count of Maccabees, the time First Maccabees was written to the events, very close. That's why Jesus was seen as such a threat, Palm Sunday, laying down palms. They thought this was a guy who was going to be the next Judas Maccabeus.